Dear white people, I took a Black and Latino studies class this past semester thinking it would reaffirm my hate for you. I thought we would crack jokes that only Black people understood, talk down on white America, and the fact that state power is in the hands of racist, violent, and unqualified people, aka the police. I was eager for moments of passion, compassion, and vulnerability among a class full of POC taught by a fellow POC. And I thought not a single white person would dare sign up for this class because since when have they been eager to examine themselves, let alone see us? Then we started to read Black authors, and I thought, yes, fuel my fire. The amount of violence inflicted upon Douglass by overseers like Covey and Hugh was proof to me that white people have nothing to offer my community but hate. The slave patrols that caught Douglass and punished him for trying to have autonomy over himself mirrored the police today who disproportionately arrest and kill Black men and women. Shout out Joe Lepore for exploring the etymology of police further. The white men who orchestrated Battle Royale in Invisible Man, literal barbarism among Black students, became a metaphor to the whole class of the way that the white man constructs our existence. But I was also reminded that I've never been arrested, or so much as stopped by a white cop looking to harass someone. That although I've seen white people visibly intimidated by me, I didn't experience a Karen moment until sometime last year, and I'm almost 23. As much shit as I've talked about white people with my POC friends, I've also held a few good conversations with some. This is not me dismissing the experiences of Black people who have gone through this and more, or even me trying to pull a white people can be good too moment. That's an obvious statement, just as all Black people aren't violent. And one thing I do hate is deflection, especially deflection that ignores frequency and degree. But rather me understanding that my anger is not fully my own. It was already pre-fueled by the experiences of other Black people I had never met, which can be expected, but it shouldn't have been my only source. The system very much exists, but so do anomalies and contradictions. Dear people, I have 4 half-white, half-Black siblings that I have met. To say I hate white people is to hate half of them, and that's not something I want to perpetuate. To say I hate white people is to ignore the ones who have done so much. Like my stepmother, who created a home away from home for me. Thank you, Jen. I love you. And I certainly did have white classmates in this class. I expected them to ignore the validity of Black history and anger every step of the way. But instead, they listened, absorbed, and acknowledged. It was then that I realized when Du Bois coined the term double consciousness, he wasn't asking me to excuse racist white people, but giving me a different lens to acknowledge the ones that weren't. He was giving me a chance to be something other than angry. When Douglass asked to be equal to white people, he was really asking to be seen as their definition of human, to be seen as more than a Black man, but a being. I don't hate white people. I hate whiteness. Which is also why I couldn't stop at one text. Douglass's narrative may have been the most brought up here, but each novel gave insight to the fact that all most people want to be is human. Douglass fought to go from slave to man. Bernard and Belton might have remained genuine friends had the barriers of race, skin tone, and class not been their obstacles, viewing each other instead as just best friends. Just as Sharon de la Cruz's many identities likely only felt like contradictions because a Latino shouldn't be queer. But what if we replace one of those words with human? Du Bois's talk of double consciousness and the struggle of being Black and American ask America to see Blacks simply as fellow contributors to the country. Because to be acknowledged as a contributor in capitalism is to be an everyday person in America. Person. Finally, the premise of the title Invisible Man, with no "the" at the beginning, is the universality that could apply to all. The subtle shift from I to we reinforces that desired unity. Thinking about the one drop of Black paint in the white, I offer another stance. The Black disappears, yes, but so does the original hue of white. They blend and become one, indecipherable, and therefore the same. Human. So to acknowledge my melanin is powerful and that I have Black girl magic is also to acknowledge that I come from slavery in a time when neither of those things were appreciated. To point out that white people enslaved my ancestors is to point out that Black people enslaved their own too. A constant cycle of hurt and separation. But to point out humanity is the FaceTime calls between my nephews and I, the Christmases spent with my sisters, the times my stepmom Sarah drives to pick me up from NYC just so I can be a part of my brother's life. It's the newfound confidence I have in discussing race, racism, and skin color with my younger siblings in the future. letting them know that they can acknowledge the flaws within while loving both parts of themselves. Dear human, you're all we hope to be. Dear white people,